So, you know what happens when you start cooking and you start figuring out what goes with what, and it challenges you to want to try to go to the next level.
Right.
So you think, okay, that sage was really good in this recipe. Wonder, ooh, if I tried this chicken over here with that, and you start thinking differently. Let's talk about spice rack. Some people think about this as a spice rack. Our spice rack, one of them, I guess we should just call it an urban spice rack.
Yeah, I love that.
Outside, we go out there and we pick our sage, and tonight we picked some basil and some rosemary and oregano. Now sage is going to play a big part tonight. Sage, I think, is underutilized sometimes. Now sage itself, if you smell it by itself, it's kind of got a different smell than how it comes out if you saute it in something per se. But remember, challenge yourself. Try some new food. Try some grub you've never tried before. How's that? Wasn't that tricky?
That was really good. How'd you do that? I wish I could do that.
Magic.
That was magic.
Kelly made it happen. But anyway, here we go. Here's our bowl. A cup and a half of flour.
Simple recipe.
2 eggs and a little bit of water. What does this make? Let's review that. I want you to remember this. 2 eggs, cup and a half of all-purpose flour, water. What does this make, Mrs. Farmer?
Makes the best pasta ever.
Homemade pasta. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm going to crack these in, Nikki.
I'm impressed. Look at you. Look at
I
you.
tell you what. And then, if you'll mix that in.
I will.
This is as good as any pasta you'll ever have. Now, as we go along, you might want to add a little bit of water. Not much. I've just got a couple tablespoons here. Just a little bit of water. As we go along. You don't want it too wet. Now I've got this little pasta machine over here. I think, what was this, like 30 bucks, 25 bucks?
Yeah, it wasn't that much.
It's a wonderful little machine. It has different settings on the side here. The first setting, number 1, is the widest. So that's where I always start. I will put my dough through there, roll it out, and then I'll fold it back up, re-roll it. Now, as it goes along and you start crimping it up a little bit, getting a little tighter, it'll start to get some tears in it, so you might have to put a little more water or a little more flour as you go along to make things work just right.
That's actually going to be, I think it's going to be good. It's coming together here.
So again, 2 eggs, cup and a half of flour, a little bit of water, and you have the oldest, most dependable pasta recipes in the world. Go pretty light with the water. You don't need a whole lot of water. After she gets this kneaded out, you don't have to knead it a lot. Put it in the fridge for about a half an hour and you're ready to roll.
It's ready.
You know, somebody said one time, I think we're doing a lobster recipe. They said, well, that's not country cooking. Yes, it is. There are people all over the world who are country cooking, who live next to the ocean.
Yeah.
That's just their local meat.
Right.
Wouldn't you like for that to be your local meat?
Yes, I would. I could eat lobster every day.
So we don't ever try to do anything fancy, but you know, in the outlying areas of Italy, we're going to go visit shortly, in Tuscany, all these folks that live in different areas, they have all these wonderful recipes. This is somebody's country cooking. All this stuff, fresh, farm to table. We get your stuff right out the back door. Remember, if you can do these things fresh, if you can grow your own herbs and spices, oh my gosh, you're way ahead of the game. Try some grub you've never tried before. All right. Did we say that earlier? Try some grub you've never tried before. All right. So here we go. So we've got we got about half a pound of pork and half a pound of veal.
I love veal.
Now you can get veal just about anywhere. You have to ask for your butcher sometimes.
Yeah, and it's frozen. You can find it in the frozen section.
So what are we going to do here, Mrs. Farmer? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take and crack an egg in here. You want to do the goopy hand thing?
I will.
Okay, now what we've got here is we've got egg to kind of firm things up and bring it together. Now I'm going to start putting a little pesto in there, our homemade pesto.
Yummy.
Now again, I'm going across a whole lot of lines here. These are flavors that I have come to love over the years and found out that they go very well together. So we've got an Italian dish. I'm going to use a Chinese noodle cutter and press to make our pasta.
Yes.
We've got some Pernod, which is a French liqueur that has star anise in it, and it's just absolutely wonderful. I have ground some fresh Cherry pepper, which is about all we use now because it's just so wonderful. I'm gonna take some salt.
This smells so good.
Oh, I know. Don't eat it raw, Mrs.
I won't.
Now I'm going to come back with my breadcrumbs. I'm going to start to firm this up. What we're doing is making our stuffing for our pasta. And oh my, smell that, Mrs. Farmer.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that a great addition?
That is.
The ingredients for the Pernod, we don't know exactly what's in it. But man, when you add the star anise, now even if you don't like that, it adds such a flavor to your basil. Oh man, that is almost intoxicating. Put a little more breadcrumbs in there. And you notice I'm not measuring this, you just want to get this consistency.
Do what you like.
So the garlic, remember, is in the basil pesto. So that's where we're gonna get our garlic flavor. Let's go ahead and pile that in there. I'm gonna take some dry seasoning too. Got a little bit of Italian seasonings here. And it's got just a little bit of, as you can see, a little bit of dry onion and some red pepper flakes in there. Now we will not use all of this tonight.
Right.
In fact, we're gonna use a tiny portion of this, but we have it all mixed together. So what do?
Freeze it.
Pop it in the freezer. So next time we want this dish, which will be pretty soon, thaw it out and we're good to go. So that, I just gotta tell you.
That smells delish.
Remember when Sammy was...
I know, he's so cute. Smelling everything.
All right, so Mrs. Farmer, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna set this aside.
Okay.
Still those flavors are wafting.
Yes.
So we're gonna take this, clean this up. When we come back, we'll have a skillet out. And we're gonna get the dough out, we're gonna get it ready, and then we're gonna cook us up something good. All right, so I'm gonna pull my little hunk off. So again, I've got this on the #1 setting, which is the thickest setting. I'll take that out, and then I'll fold it up on itself, and then I'll run it through again. So now I'm going to put it up on the #2 setting. See where we're at. Now see, that's a little thick, obviously. Okay, go ahead. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm gonna, now, this goes all the way up to really thin, but we are only gonna go to about #3 on this. Sure, if you will. Okay, now look at this thickness. That's about what we want for that. So I've got this little cutter here. Basically, you just push it down really hard. This is a dumpling cutter. It just rolls up and makes little cuts here. Each one of these will be a wonderful little piece of pasta. I'm just rolling these out just a little bit bigger so they'll fit my little dumpling press here. You're essentially doing the same thing if you're making ravioli. And you don't have to have these machines to do this, but I like these little gadgets sometimes when you're cooking. It makes it fun. If you got the grandkids over, they would love to help you make dumplings.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'll show you how we make one here. Put a little olive oil on our press. We spread that over to make sure it fills the edges out. Now, if you just had your dough and you just rolled it out with a roller and you cut strips and then squares, you can make ravioli and you just crimp the side. I'm using this just because,
I don't know, it's fun to play with.
Just because I have it and I'm playing with it. Now we don't need a whole huge amount of meat here. I'm talking about this size right here. So that goes inside your little dumpling. Crimp that down real good and tight. Pop it open, and what do you have?
Perfect.
Got yourself a little dumpling. You could use bacon, you could use pork belly, you could use whatever you want. And you could tell tonight that we didn't do a whole lot of measuring, so kind of make this like you want it. All right, we got our water boiling. I'm gonna pop our wonderful little pieces of pasta in here with their wonderful interior. We're gonna let those go for about 15 minutes. All right, I'm gonna get some mushrooms cut up here. I got some baby bellas. They're fresh. Everything's fresh. Oh, fresh, fresh, fresh. The bacon's about done, isn't it? So let's back up and think about what we've done. We got fresh mushrooms.
That's right.
We have fresh rosemary, basil, and oregano.
Homemade
mixed
pasta.
up. Homemade pasta. And it smells fresh. It smells wonderful. And we got bacon.
Gotta have bacon.
Can't go wrong. And I think, Mrs. Farmer, let's go ahead and saute those up.
I'm cooking them in that grease, yum.
All right, now we're gonna come in with some butter because
Butter's delish.
so we have bacon and mushrooms
Butter.
and butter. And towards the end here, when these get all sauteed up and we switch them out, when we put our pasta over here, we're gonna drop this sage in with this butter. All right, now I've had this turned down. I'm gonna turn this back up. I'm gonna start putting my sage in there and let it start releasing its flavor. Oh, I
smells
wish you could smell what's going on in here. So in goes the sage
That smells good. I can smell that. Can you?
with the butter. And Mrs. Farmer, it's almost time. In
Okay.
fact, it is time.
Time?
If you want to start draining those,
I will. I have a little.
you want to be
thing here.
real careful with these guys because
I have a little bucket here to drain them in.
they're now in the last and final stage. Oh, it smells so good. We're just
Cool.
gonna brown these just a little bit and let them soak up that flavor. Okay, now that seemed like a lot of steps, but really there was nothing about this recipe that was terribly hard. And you've got restaurant grade food here,
Oh, it's so worth it. Oh, these are looking good.
aren't they?
Getting all
brown
shiny
these up,
and
just brown
brown.
these up just a little bit. Then in the end, if you wanted to top these with just a little bit of fresh diced tomato, we got some Romas there from Kelly's Garden. Put a couple capers on them if you'd like, just for the flavor, texture, salt.
Would you like me to cut some up?
Yeah, go ahead and dice them up there. Look, Mrs. Farmer,
Wow. Yum, Papa.
you want a bite?
I do. Can I take a bite?
ahead.
All right. I'm gonna cut it in half because it's too big.
You know, and that's what I like. I like a big old piece of pasta with a big old hunk of meat in it. What do you think?
That is so good. I'll try a mushroom. That's delicious. I could eat 100 of those. Wow.
Last time we used store-bought basil pesto.
Yeah.
This time it's fresh.
That's so good. You outdid yourself again. Ooh, I need to eat more.
Go ahead, Ms.
Can I eat
Farmer.
more?
Eat one more bite,
Oh my goodness.
then we'll get to dessert. On a scale from 1 to 1,000, what is it?
A million. That's delicious. That is really good. I could eat that every night.
That is really good. But how could it not be? I mean,
Oh.
think about what went into this. A little bit of effort, but each step was fun.
Yeah. It was fun
We had
cooking.
fun cutting everything out, making the pasta. It's a rather involved dish, but you can do it.
It's fun to cook.